Dear readers and viewers, we have us with today a remarkable individual who has seamlessly transitions from the dynamic world of broadcast television to a position of profound impact in the health sector. Lianne Laing spent 2 decades connecting with the audiences through sports and morning television. Now, as the president of the Ottawa Heart Institute Foundation and VP Philanthropy, she brings the same passion and connection to advancing cardiac care. Lianne's journey is a testament to the power of purpose and the drive to make a meaningful difference. Lianne, welcome to Magazika.
Thank you. It's quite the intro. I feel very privileged.
Lianne, you had a successful 20-year career in broadcast television. What sparked in some words, where some you have written, search for new adventures, sleep, and the
Mhm.
chance to pursue your passion projects that led you to Ottawa Heart Institute Foundation?
Well, they were very different journeys. I'm so happy that they collided. So I was 20 years working in television. The last 10 were hosting the morning show. So it was a 3:30 a.m. wake-up call. I had 2 young kids. It was a fast-paced, quick, sleep-deprived life. In June of 2017, I ended up getting a case of the shingles, which getting the shingles in your early 40s is not usually something that happens. And I realized that it was my body's way. It was like a red flag. Like my body was like on fire. And it was almost like a warning sign. I listened, and because I listened to my body, I recognized that my mind had already made up that I was checked out. That I had done the 20 years, that I had kind of gone as far as I was going to go. And but I was just on Groundhog Day. And the shingles was my body's way of saying, wake up, there's more. I can't keep this pace of getting up at 3:30 in the morning, full days, full parenting, competitive sports at night, going to bed at 10 and doing it all on repeat. And so that was the launching point, is me realizing that my body was exhausted from doing this type of a shift. And I also felt that at that age, I was 42, that I had an opportunity to have one full career. And if I had the energy and the passion to do something, that I could rebrand, relearn, use my skill set in a different way and start something fresh. So when I left television, I really was jumping off a cliff with like no parachute. I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea where I was going. I just knew that I had to trust my gut instinct, that there was more for me out there. And I did know that health and wellness was my passion. It had been on so many of the interviews that I had done over the 20 years. Like I loved interviewing the doctors and nutritionists and health support. Like I loved those interviews. And so I knew when I left that would be something that I was going to incorporate into whatever it was I was doing. And it wasn't until a few years later that the Heart Institute job kind of landed on my doorstep.
Fantastic. It's good that you have listened to that wake up call that your system, your physical and your overall mental physical system was sending to you, and it was a leap of faith. It was a great leap of faith.
It was a scary leap of faith. I can recall nights of pacing my house at like 2 o'clock in the morning, kind of going, am I prepared to leave something that's very, I've been doing it. It's all I know. It was a lot of sleepless nights once you make that decision that you're going to do it. And I tell this to so many people. You are capable of so much more. You just have to trust in your skill set and trust that you have the work ethic. I also know I had the work ethic to go. I'd been coachable. I'd been an athlete all my life. So I knew that I could take something and start fresh and succeed. And I think most people sometimes they get scared and then they backtrack and then they stay status quo. And that's the worst, I think, way to go about things. That's filled with a lot of regret. I didn't want to regret staying. And then eventually being laid off and everything, because the whole industry of television is so different than what it was 20 years ago.
Yeah. And what was your sports? Like you said, you're an athlete.
I was a gymnast. So
Oh,
I was from the age of 6 until the age of 22. I was a gymnast.
wow.
I competed for Canada. I was an elite gymnast. I ended up in the States on a scholarship, and then I retired after I was done university. Yeah.
Fantastic. So we will touch a bit on the television part as well. So your podcast, Living Your Life with Lianne Laing, had a strong focus on health, wellness, and lifestyle. How did your experiences in media shape your understanding of the importance of those topics for everyday people?
So, well, the first 10 years of my work in television was all on was sports. I was a sports anchor. So I was covering athletes, I was covering professional athletes, the Ottawa Senators, the Ottawa Red Blacks, Red Renegades, CFL, and like all the sports. So I really was very passionate about that. When we moved to the morning show, it was really important to me to carry something with my background into the show. So I created a segment called Today's the Day, which was a
Oh,
2-minute segment every day of one thing that you could do today to make your life better, to give yourself an opportunity to live healthier, longevity. So it would be one day it would be a doctor, the next day it would be a nutritionist, then it would be um, gosh, like a chiropractor, and then a sports, like a psychologist. Like every day it encompassed something. It could have been as basic as take the stairs rather than the elevator. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I had a 2-minute tip every day, and I loved that part of the show. And
yes.
I felt that when I was interviewing, um, like the health and wellness guests, I was really into the segments. But the problem is on television, or at least, when I was doing sports, the story is a minute and a half. It's 90 seconds. When you're working on a
Okay.
morning show segment, the segment's about 3.5 to 4 minutes, but that's all you have. And I remember having these guests on, and it was like a little snippet of like what they
Yeah.
knew. And I was like, I can't get that in 4 minutes. But when I left television, I knew, and I remembered all of my favorite guests that I'd interviewed over the years. The guests that I knew had so much more to offer. And that was the base of my podcast. So it was taking all those guests that were really just on the show for 4 minutes, and then giving them the long form platform to have an hour to dive into, an hour and a half to dive into the subjects. And so I remember sitting on set going, I could do so much more and and help people and give them the information that they need if we had more time. So that's what started the Living Your Life with Lianne Laing podcast when I left television.
Oh, fantastic. Now, your current role allows you to use your communications and storytelling background. Could you share how you leverage those skills to connect with donors and raise awareness for the Heart Institute's crucial work?
So it's a great question. I'll take you back when the Heart Institute Foundation came looking for me, like
Yeah,
a headhunter came to look for the job. My
please.
initial reaction was like, no, thank you, but not interested. I'm not a fundraiser. I don't want to ask people for money. I had hosted hundreds and hundreds of charity events. I had emceed for every charity. I knew all of the different charities, especially here in Ottawa. And it wasn't something that appealed to me. Um, so when they called, I was like, no. And then I said to my husband, I said, I just had the weirdest phone call. Um, they're looking for someone to take over the foundation. And I said, it's not me. I'm not a fundraiser. And my husband said to me, he goes, you are so passionate about health and wellness. You know how to tell stories. You know the stories behind what's happened. I lost my dad 2 weeks before my wedding to a heart attack. I know what it's like to have loss of heart disease. I now know what the family genetics and that component play into it. And I've always been like, how amazing would it be if there's another daughter who has her dad to walk her down the aisle because he had the
Yeah.
care that he needed, he had the preventative measures that he needed, he knew his risk factors, his symptoms. Like when I look back on my dad, and we went through all of his items, and he died while golfing with my soon to be husband. There was Pepto-Bismol and antacid, and like he'd been thinking he had indigestion and heartburn. Like these were all things that were red flags had I known that this is what my
Yeah.
dad was doing.
Yeah.
And that's become the pivotal, I'm not even saying that right, turning
Mm.
point for me, pivotal turning point for me. Um, that I switched what the job required and said, if I make it about people and telling stories and being about prevention and wellness and getting people to not have to use the Heart Institute, then I can change the landscape of what this job is about. And I'm doing it through connection and storytelling and collaborations and education without having to do the official asks of being a fundraiser. So I came to the Institute once I kind of said yes to the headhunter and then went through the process. It's about stories. People need to understand and see themselves in these stories. And that became something that was very important to me. I'd been telling stories for 20 years, bring that storytelling into what I'm doing now. And it was like, if you build it, they will come. So it kind of worked a little bit like that. So I think it's the critical component to any business. It's not just fundraising. It's the story needs to connect with people, whether you're selling a product or selling a service. Like it's the story that's gonna attach you and connect you with either the client or the, the end user.
Mm. Your father would be very proud, and he is watching you now, that
I
you helping.
honestly, like, it is the biggest factor of why this job is so important. Like, I don't think I could be doing this job for anyone else. It is so closely attached to who I am, and having lost him so young, and I feeling like I should have known better. I knew I should have known better, and I don't want anyone else to go through that. And now when I see people come through, and especially the storytelling around women's heart health, like, we are under-researched, underdiagnosed, undertreated as women. And we started an event called Jump In for Women's Heart Health. That is about educating women that our risk factors are different, our symptoms are different. If you had issues in pregnancy, if you had preeclampsia, if you had a low birth rate, like, there's so many different symptoms and factors that affect women that haven't been talked about. But using our stories and bringing that information in, we're saving lives in a different way and bringing attention to heart. So for me, it's all about the stories.
Yeah, and we will touch a bit on that. Is it for this reason, that is like my layman's understanding, as women are more focused on caring for others, that is why they ignore their own health? Is it something like that?
Oh, well, absolutely. I mean, we've heard stories of women that have come in and driven themselves in to hospitals when they're in the middle of having a heart attack, but they didn't want to come before that because they were hosting a dinner party and they had to wait until they cleaned all the dishes. Like, we had somebody say, I knew this was happening, but we had just had a dinner company. I wanted to finish the dishes so that everything was clean before. Like, I don't get it, but there are people, we tend to just, yeah, as women, we're always caring about others. And a lot of the time too is that we've seen this Hollywood version of a heart attack, which is an older male grabbing their chest in a restaurant and then
Yes,
falling to the
yes.
ground. And that's not how it
No,
usually happens
no,
at
no.
all. And for women, we usually have different symptoms because we're expressive and we talk and we share. We'll tend to list more than, we'll say we have a dull pain, but we're also dealing with a tightness in the jaw or something in the back, or
Yeah,
it
yeah,
feels
yeah.
like we're having an anxiety attack, or we're just emotional. Like, we'll tend to over describe and we tend to have more symptoms than just an intense pain in the chest. Also, we might not realize that some of the risk factors, or, where we're changing hormonally, puberty, pregnancy, menopause, perimenopause. There's
Yes, yeah.
lots of different factors that women, I think we're trying to get that across, that they need to understand that we have very different risk factors and symptoms.
Just relating to that, back to our main set of talking points, you have highlighted in some of your writings and some of your blogs that 80% of heart disease is preventable through education and programming. What are some of it is just for the
Well,
like readers.
80%, so like 80% of heart disease is preventable with physical activity and healthy diet.
Healthy diet. Okay.
Healthy diet, 30 minutes of physical activity. And I'm not saying 30 minutes of a hardcore run or workout. It's 30 minutes of movement a day. So even breaking it out to 10-minute walks 3 times a day. But you need
Oh,
to be moving your body at least 30 minutes a day. but 80% of heart disease is preventable without the genetic component of having a long history, family history of high cholesterol, some of the things that you cannot control just based on family genetics. And the other, the other things that are preventable is not smoking. So we have smoking cessation programs, not vaping,
Okay.
watching your blood pressure. These are, eating healthy. Diet is a massive factor in this. But 80% of people who are suffering from heart-related heart disease and cardiac arrest are because those 80% of things that they could be preventable are not included in their everyday lifestyle.
So
So it
30 minutes,
can be.
even a brisk walk will do, like a brisk walk or like a walk on a home treadmill, that will do as well.
That is like a life-saving measure. You're giving yourself an 80% chance of taking yourself out of the equation.
Wow.
It's so hard. Like if I could scream that out from the rooftops, and yet I'm realizing for a lot of people, it's very difficult. And I was never in a job where I was sitting all day, especially in media. Like the show
Yes.
I was 4 hours of back and forth and running around.
Yes.
And I could never understand how people who sat all day wouldn't want to get up and like move and like do things. And then when I left television and was working and doing some of my cyber and sitting all day, I would get up and I would be exhausted from sitting all day. Like sitting
Yeah.
all day is exhausting.
It's
And
exhausting.
I
Yeah.
remember thinking, oh, this is what it's like to be tired and not want to move because your body is tired from the strain of sitting.
Okay.
And so even that was like a wake up call of how difficult it is for people to
Yeah.
psychologically get that in. And so Jump In for Women's Heart Health, which started over COVID, is a 30-day challenge in September. It's 30 minutes of physical activity for 30
Oh,
days.
nice.
I've worked out every day my entire life since I was 6. I had 4-hour training sessions. So
Obviously.
getting in an hour or a half hour is nothing to me. It's my favorite time of the day. Like I got up this morning at 6:30 and it was like, get me to the gym. But for a lot of people, it is a big challenge. And so we do these initiatives and these campaigns to try to be able to provide the support for people, show them how, give them the toolkits that they need to be able to do this. Because at the end of the day, it's a game changer. And we've had people who are taking part in Jump In who couldn't get around the block. Like walking around the block was like it just wasn't in the cards for them. We've had so many participants who couldn't walk the block who are now running half marathons and marathons.
Wow.
Like their entire lives have changed. It's
Yes.
just, but it's
No
that
wonder.
one step forward. And they were on medications, they were on high blood pressure, overweight, like all of the risk factors. And it was like each step that they took was like slowly reducing all of
Yeah.
it. And now they're off their medications. They're, like it's amazing to see what the transformations can do. And so that initiative for us is probably one of my favorites because it's very close to my heart.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you're working in Heart Institute. So the Heart Institute is at the forefront, and I'm quoting from the your website: innovative discoveries, groundbreaking research, and precision medicine. Could you explain in simple terms how
Mhm.
these advancements are making tangible differences in the lives of cardiac patients and their families?
So, there's one thing that we work on, which is prevention, which is a whole other thing in terms of keeping people out of the Institute. The Ottawa Heart Institute is one of the leading cardiac centers in the world. We have over 241,000 patients that come through our doors, over 2,000 catheter-based and open heart surgeries. So it's an incredibly busy cardiac center for work that needs to be done, life-saving measures. Any day sitting at my desk, and I'm in the office every day, I will probably hear 3 code STEMIs come over the intercom, of which I know, like in that moment, there's a person whose lives are, it's down to the minute. Like every second counts in these instances. And I know that people are coming in, there's an entire crew on standby, paramedics bring them in, they need to have
Okay.
stents put in. Like it is down to a science, but all of this happens through research, through
Oh,
trials. And so there's so much work that's happening. Like the Heart Institute, right before I got there, so the completion of right before 2020, right before COVID hit, they
right
had done a
before
huge
the.
$100 million renovation. So we have brand new towers, hybrid operating rooms, imaging center. So We have state-of-the-art equipment. That's going to be there for a long time. The investment needs to be done in research and how we're changing protocol treatments. And because we have both our researchers and scientists working directly with the clinical staff, we have like the bench to bedside because things are happening in tandem. So when we talk about groundbreaking research, innovative patient care, you have the heart teams of both a cardiac surgeon and a cardiologist with every patient case that will come together and discuss whether who's better suited to treat the patient, which
Okay.
is something that doesn't always happen in different institutions, because the team concept is something that was kind of researched and acknowledged in what the work that was being done, that now they know what the best case scenario is. So it's when we talk about precision medicine, it's individualized care. It might have been that based years ago, this would have been the best course of action. But now with the researchers, surgeon and cardiologist working together, it's a uniquely tailored treatment to what that patient's going to need. So we're seeing a lot more of that, if that makes sense. But the
No,
research component
absolutely.
is, we have researchers. We have Dr. Alarcon, who it took him about 2,000 different chemical trials to find the right combination, but he's created like this nanogold, using a nanogold particle. He's created a spray that will be sprayed onto the heart after surgery as a Band-Aid to heal it.
Oh, wow.
Like, but that's based on research science and having that ability in our labs to be able to do that. It took him 2,000 different attempts to get there.
That's
But what we're
long.
doing at the foundation is we're funding research.
Yeah.
And I can't wait for years from now to know that spray was used on a heart, and it's about quicker recovery, that patient is no longer in the institute for a week to recover. They're being sent home after 2 days because they're healing. So it's work like that that's being done. There's also work on, obesity and fat cells and how it's affecting the heart, and,
Okay.
different pills and what you can, everyone wants the magic pill. If I just take this pill, I mean, look what's happened with Ozempic, which for diabetics, it's a game changer. But there's constantly work being done on how can we bring down the cholesterol, the bad cholesterol, without affecting,
Mm.
this is all the science and the research that's being done, within the Heart Institute. So that's, for me, is going and talking to donors about their eventual treatments will be relying on the research that we're doing today. So yeah.
Fantastic. Fantastic, Fiats. And so much to know that what a group of specialists with a very concerning and very passion, very much deep passion. They're working for public health and all. You work closely with a generous donor base. While talking to people, while you were saying the things that you have just said to me and to our audience, what motivates individuals to support Ottawa Heart Institute Foundation or any foundation of like this? What motivates people? What impact do these donations have on the institution's ability to provide world-class care? But firstly, what motivates people? What is the? I just want to know the philanthropic fiber in a person's
Yeah.
thinking.
So
What
I'm going to
motivates
give
them
you a
according to you?
very honest and very transparent answer.
Please, please, our pleasure.
The Heart Institute on any given day is saving lives. Like, we are giving families and giving individuals the gift of time. They
Yeah.
are coming in full cardiac arrest, and honestly down to minutes of thinking that they're going to die.
Oh,
And it's because I've heard this story so many times, that
yeah.
that
That.
fear, they felt that they were going to die. Some have actually died on and have been brought back to life. So when you are talking to individuals whose lives have literally been saved by this care, by the institute, by the surgeons, they are living in such a place of gratitude and so grateful that is a huge component to being able to give. I have a very different type of work base and foundation than other, I think, hospitals or different points of healthcare. It's a very different if a patient is, coming out of, of having dealing with mental health. It's not a place that they wanted to be or feel like they're saved, or they go in for a different type of treatment and it was a difficult recovery, and they're still dealing with a certain illness or a cancer patient. it's a different mindset. When you come out of the Heart Institute and you have had a bypass or you've had a stent put in and you are giving a new lease on life, they're grateful. They're also at a different point of life where, we look at children's hospitals. A patient is a young child. Their parents are usually younger, just starting out in life, just kind of buying that first home, starting the RESPs. Like they're in a very different financial place too. Right now they're just trying to get through the days and raise their
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
The patients that are coming out of the Heart Institute are usually, established, have had their lives, they have children, and so they have also the ability to donate back. So for me, as the head of this foundation, I think sometimes I have a much easier conversation with donors because I'm sitting there with someone whose lives have been saved. And sometimes it happens quickly, and sometimes it's reflection over a couple of years. And then it comes that way. So in terms of the major gifts, that's a big component to it. And then also when we do February's Heart Month, which is a month that is really community based, and it's about the donor community, and it's about just people in Ottawa feeling really proud that we have one of the leading cardiac centers in the world in our backyard. And so those are easier sometimes gifts to do. And those are much smaller gifts. The $20, $50, $100 gifts, but then they feel like they're a part of something really
They're part of
special.
something good. Yeah.
So I'm often having two very different conversations with people. And then sometimes we have people very keen and interested in science and where the future's going and AI and data science. Like there are people who are interested in seeing where these are going and want to be able to make these investments. So, I have a fascinating and easier conversation with a lot of people because there's so much and so much good that we're doing. It's an easier conversation, I think, than most.
And uh, for readers in that perspective, because you have seen it like up close with the people. So for our readers and for any viewers who is viewing this at this moment, who might be facing their own health challenges or supporting loved ones through them, what message of hope or encouragement can you share based on your work at the Heart Institute? Sorry.
Well, I think there's a lot of things that happen, especially when someone might be dealing with heart disease. There's the one part is the family genetics. It's very hard to see a family go through that, the grandfather and father. And so I think there's a lot of emphasis on prevention as having these discussions with families, to be able to educate them on how to best serve themselves and as caretakers. That's an interesting, that's an interesting question. In terms of supporting them, yeah, I think we're trying, it's having the conversation. It's having the hard conversation also. And I'm going to come back to, everybody wants to have the magic pill. They want, do you know what I mean? Well,
Yes.
well, let me just have the surgery, or there's going to be a pill that's going to get rid of my high blood pressure or the fact that I'm, overweight. And so sometimes it's really hard to have the conversation that if it's needed, you'll have the heart life-saving surgery, but gosh, what would it be like you don't want to have to go through
Yes.
what this is.
Mhm.
So the harder conversations is how do we find the ways to get through to people so that they take action on themselves, or if they see the family history, or if their dad and their brother and the uncle are all seeing this, like there's a common denominator here and something has to change. And it's having that conversation with family members. Like if you do not change your ways, you also will be in this position, and it might not be the same outcome. And so it is about changing lifestyle. It is about not
Yes.
smoking. It is about reducing all of it, and your stress and your blood pressure. So unfortunately, the answer is going to be like, you got to put in the work.
Yeah.
Sometimes. And sometimes it's fear. I've had so many people come to me after seeing a loved one or a friend who knew that something was wrong. who knew that they weren't doing the right things, who knew that, oh, I got to slow down, or I got to start eating better, or I got to start walking, and who knew better and didn't listen. And it's the family members and the friends that look at this situation and go, that could be me, and I have to change my ways.
Yeah.
And those are the difficult conversations to have. Yeah.
I can resonate with that because my father had COPD. He used to smoke pipe, and I was also a smoker at one point of my life, like long back. But yeah, I was a smoker. I used to smoke, not that much, not like a chain smoking thing, but smoking. But whenever I saw my father went through the diagnosis process of COPD, that made me quit my smoking.
It's
So that
great.
fear, yeah. So
Yes.
whenever you're saying that factor, that fear can be a very good motivator, like in a very positive way,
Mhm.
I could easily resonate with that. And I think for the lifestyle management that you're the first aspect of your answer, I think it is because of people whenever I'm habituated with a junk food diet, sedentary lifestyle, smoking and everything, it creates a comfort zone. And we don't want to break that bubble. Our body is runs on homeostasis. Like whenever we feel comfortable, so we do not want to break that up. And then that's the point we need a magic pill that, okay, I will remain in my comfort zone, but something magical will happen and every problem will
Right.
go away. I
Yeah.
will not try to put the work on, but that's a hard conversation.
That's the hard conversation. And
That's
that's
a
the
hard conversation.
conversation that you're trying to have with people before they get there. And I didn't realize how difficult that conversation was going to be until I started having them.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Um,
So my
so it is right. But nothing ever is going to change. And you will continue to feel like this, and it'll continue to be like this. Actually, the other day I was at the gym, and somebody stopped me who had been a patient of the Heart Institute.
okay.
And he looked healthy. He's like, I'm feeling great. He goes, I'm also 80 pounds less now
Wow.
than I was when I had the surgery. And I'm like,
Fantastic.
what has changed? He goes, well, I was really overweight. I wasn't doing it. I was in and out of hospitals. Um, but he goes, once I finally hit that this was going to be recurring, I would be back in the Heart Institute if I didn't change my ways.
Oh,
I started to slowly change, and now he's 80 pounds lighter. I'm like, at 80 pounds lighter, what does life feel like for you? He goes, it's like 90. He goes, I get up. I can get up. It doesn't take me, getting out of bed doesn't hurt. Like, he goes, I have this energy. I have this renewed sense of purpose in life, and this energy that I was like, I can do all of this stuff, and I can, make plans and make things for child, because I'm okay to walk, that day to go see to like, and it just to listen to him, like, it's like, how do you get people to take that first step? Because you know how
yes.
good it's going to be. Like, I'm like, it's going to be so much better for you on this side, but it's the hard conversation to have. And it took him being a patient. He knew when
Yeah.
he was obese, overweight, that he was going to be a patient.
Mm.
But it took that to say, oh, okay, now I
Yeah.
really do have to change. So
The conversation you had with a person, sometimes in psychology it calls negative visualization, that if I continue like this, I'll be obese again. I'll be again in the Heart Institute. I'll be again going through the same process of medication, surgery, and all the 9 years. So whole 9 years. So I don't want to go through that.
yeah.
So that's
And
my
then because I'm me, I will say, do you have children? And then I'll wait for the answer. And I'm like, I think your daughter would really love to have you walk her down the aisle.
yeah.
I didn't have that because my dad did. Like, that for me is like, what example do you need for me to
Yes.
like,
Yes.
so,
Yes.
um, and that's the way we have our conversations right now.
Yeah. What I did not have had as a daughter, I want your daughter to have it. So that's the best touching point emotion, because ultimately at the end of the day we are emotional people.
Yeah.
We are high on emotion. We sometimes even decide on emotion, but these are the good emotions that motivates you to take some measures for our lifestyle management that will be really beneficial for our loved ones.
And there's programs that are there. We're not just saying, go do this. We
Oh,
have
you have
programs in
programs for that.
place.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please,
Like,
a bit more on that, please.
so we understand how difficult it is for people to quit smoking. They're addicted. And it's the same thing with vaping. Well, we offer smoking cessation programs. So there was
Yeah, you
research
just
that
said
was
that.
done,
Please,
stuff
please,
that
more on that. Sorry, I didn't
there
touch
is,
that.
there's so much, there are programs that are being offered. Like, it's not like we're just saying, go fix it. We're saying,
Oh,
here's what you need to change. Here's the tools that you need. Here's how you're going to do it. Let us help you. Let's provide you with that information. Before some people go through surgery, they need to lose weight because they can't make it through the surgery. We have
mm,
prevention and well, like we have programs to bring people in. Let us help you get to a point where you can do a surgery. If like there are healthy ways to eat, healthy ways to work, healthy, if you've had a surgery, how to reincorporate, like there's never a point where it's like you go figure it out. Everything is there to be able to offer you that best support. That smoking cessation program is probably one of the biggest success stories of the Heart Institute,
fantastic.
of the toolkit that they did. And that's a program that's been incorporated worldwide. That,
Wow.
yeah, it's pretty impressive. Dr. Pike and Dr. Reed were at the forefront of it a long, long time ago. They're the ones that actually got smoking off of airplanes.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if that's going to make people be like, how did they, but like that was one of the biggest things that they did was change the mandate and laws of no smoking in airplanes. Yeah.
Fantastic. So you have done some fantastic like missions. You are on a mission. Sounds like you have a vision as well. So regarding that, looking ahead, what are some of the most exciting developments or initiatives at Ottawa Heart Institute Foundation that you believe will have a significant impact on cardiac health in the region and beyond?
So I think one of the biggest things right now is our mobile valve clinic. Um,
Oh, wow.
it was a year-long pilot project. Dr. Masika had run with him and a nurse practitioner, and they were traveling to communities. So as a lot of people are realizing, people don't have access to family doctors.
Yeah.
There's a lot of patient care is just not what it used to be, and people cannot get into the system. So he created a traveling mobile clinic where they were testing blood. They had so they could
Wow.
see the imaging of the heart, and then we're able to test for risk factors. So it was a pilot project for a year. We couldn't talk about it. We knew they were out in the community, but this, because I was like, this is gold for me. Oh my God.
Yes,
I couldn't talk about
yes.
it. But what happened was that 30% of people that were coming into the clinic had 30% had risk factors. 30% were on their way to heart failure. So it was a big statistic. And it was allowing these future patients to kind of say, here are your risk factors. Here's what's happened. Because of the imaging, they could see blockages, like they could see development of valvular heart disease. And there were several patients who came in just to kind of try out the clinic that were immediately referred into the Heart Institute, who had no previous knowledge that they had an issue. Um, so,
Oh, God.
so the statistics that were coming out of this pilot project were just incredible. And so once the pilot project was completed, they saw that there was a need. So if you're asking me what are some of my favorite big projects that we're working on, is the establishment of the mobile clinic, which will actually be like, at the time it was Dr. Masika traveling in cars and meeting and them setting up shop, but it's actually creating a mobile clinic, and traveling to all of these communities, underserved communities, retirement homes, community centers, and having patients be able to come in, and use the mobile clinic. So it's an amazing program that's been initiated. It's on the go, and it's about having that clinic hopefully out in the community 5 days a week. I think they're only a couple of days a week now, but what's the offset of that, and what's been difficult to see, is because so many people are coming in, and with that 30% being diagnosed with risk factors and are already en route, is that now it's trying to find a way to not strain the already strained health programs and family
Yeah.
physicians and doctors, because now you have people with data of saying,
Yes.
and then it's like, where do they go?
Yeah.
So that's figuring that out now, right? It's like, now what happens once you figure out what the patients are needing? We need to be able to have programs that support it. So So there's always something. You come up with this great thing, and then it's like a domino effect of how things are affected. So the mobile clinic for me is one of the biggest things that we're focused on. Always too with research, the need for imaging tools,
Yeah.
MRIs, advancing. There's such a long wait list in the medical system to get an MRI. So how can you have just patient needs and be able to do research? Well, you need to add almost another MRI and MRIs that are working 24 hours a day. I mean, they
Mhm.
could be running 24 hours a day and still not be able to match the need of what the community has. So it's like sometimes it's equipment. We have the new data science center, which is really focusing on data points. We have new
Oh,
data
wow.
scientists coming in working with AI. Imagine having the MRIs and all these imaging to be able to have these data points coming together to be able to identify, based on this image, AI can already, forecast that based on this, movement of imaging, that this is likely the end result in 4 years. So how do you change the
Mm.
way people are being treated? So the new data science center is a big one for us as well. So there's never a shortage of really exciting new things that are happening. So it makes my job really like easy. And then it's the storytelling. How do I tell the
Yes.
story of what's happening? So it's like an endless, just you understand what's happening, you find the perspective that donors and the general public are going to resonate with, and you kind of go from there.
Yeah, 30% means one third of the population, statistically speaking. Like
Yes.
that's huge. But regarding putting like now these people have information like valid medical information that I want to have the care right now. If there is a necessity, there will be discoveries and invention, not to worry. Necessity
Yes.
is the mother of that. So, probably at the beginning, it will seem like a surge, it will seem like a big wave, but we can glide through, obviously. You have a fantastic bunch of people. And I'm really excited about this AI and data science center.
Mhm.
So, you are already up in the game with artificial intelligence, like you
Yeah.
are into
Well,
it.
I had to learn what a data scientist it was. Do you know what I mean? Like we're talking about researchers and then it's
We
data
all are
scientists.
learning.
I'm like, oh my God. If only my science teachers had seen in high school, because I was not a science student. I was like the English and the arts and public speaking kind of thing, marketing and business. I wish I'd paid more attention in science class, but now I find it fascinating to see what is happening, and how you're creating these hubs for these people to come and discuss and have access. And we already have the infrastructure in place, and it's also about partnerships now too, right? Like you can have a certain set of data points, but the more data points you have coming in from collaborations, different hospitals, different countries, that's been the key. So it's expanding who we're collaborating and working with, and sharing data. Yeah.
Last thing is that this will be the last talking point for our readers. We are, like to put it very positively, we are now kind of living in an economically an uncertain time. So perhaps some of our readers are considering career change, or maybe some of them are seeking more purpose in their professional life. So you have seen a kind of lot of sectors in your life, like first gymnast, then as a student in marketing and English lit and public speaking, and then you have done television for a long period of time, and you have seen people up close, passionate people up close, successful people up close, and now you are working with a bunch of very expert doctors, scientists, and people with a vision in the Ottawa Heart Institute. My goal is my point is, so if someone is considering changing their career track or on this in the search of finding more purpose in their professional life, what will be your advice to them?
There's so much possibility.
Mm,
Um, you're going to deal with fear no matter what,
100%,
uncertainty,
100%.
and at the also the imposter syndrome. You are entering into a place where you're not comfortable. You don't know. It's almost like the make it till you like fake it till you make it. Like there's lots of different ways of looking at it. For me, there was three things that I think are incredibly important. One, if you already have an established skill set, that skill set can be transferred to any other type of work. You're changing the words you might be using. You're changing how you go about the conversation, but your skill set can still apply to so many other places. That's
Okay.
one. Two, my entire life, I have been coachable. And I think coachability is something that isn't talked about a lot outside of the sports realm. And yet it is probably one of the biggest success factors for people if they're able to be coachable. It doesn't take, it doesn't, there's no skill required for it. You just have to be able to take information and positive criticism, and not look at things like if someone's trying to coach you, that it's a negative outlook. It's that people are trying to empower you to learn, and think a certain way or make tiny changes. Like as a gymnast, my coach would probably repeat the same thing to me 1,000 times until I made the tiny little changes that were needed. And it's that same thing that's needed as you're switching or your mindset is changing to something else, is to be coachable in achieving what it is that other people know how to do. So coachability is a big thing. I think people get very comfortable, and you have to trust your gut. And also you have to trust your gut if you are entering into a new realm, that you're coming with a different perspective. So the big thing that was the game changer for me is I was coming into this fundraising world, um, and I didn't want to play status quo. I didn't want to do what had already been done. Um, so when I came into this sector, they were like, do you want to take courses on philanthropy and all of this stuff? And my answer was no, not at all. I have a team already in place who has the background in fundraising. They've done their, professional fundraising. They know like the foundation of this industry. I'm coming in with a different mindset and a different experience because I've dealt with all of these charities. I've interviewed all of them. I've hosted all of your events. I know what works and what doesn't work, or what I would change if I was in the ability to change it. So I'm going to come in with a fresh perspective and
Wow.
kind of be
Wow.
a little bit of a disruptor.
Fantastic.
Because also, if I was in this, and would I want to get all of the stuff? And my answer was like, no. Also, I'm in a generation where I don't open mail. I don't open mail. So when my team's talking about direct mail and mailing out to our donors, I'm just like, I'm not reading it. So I'm putting out a product that I know I'm not reading, nor is my generation reading. So how am I now going to connect differently and not rely on what has worked in the past for generations of direct mail? I have to reach them differently. I need to reach them. They're on social media, they're checking their email, they're on LinkedIn. Like, you change it, but you have to trust yourself that it's okay to make changes and to bring your experience from other industry and translate it into this industry and trust that it's going to work or something's going to work. But you can't do it unless you stay status quo. I could have sat on that set on the morning show and stayed there until they gave me my package and out I went. Like, so people can stay in these comfort zones. And my husband often says, in the 20 years that I worked in television, he said he can probably count on one hand the days I came home and was like really excited about the person I interviewed or the show that we had or the guests that I met. And he goes, it is daily that I come home from this job and I'm like telling a story or passionate about a discovery. I'm like, oh my God. He goes, it's daily. And so to live in a place of passion and gratitude is like, if I could tell people, it's so worth jumping off the cliff, even if you don't have a parachute, because the way you end up living your life and living in with passion and purpose and gratitude, it's like it takes years off of you. You feel healthier. You get up. Like, I go to bed on Sunday night. I don't dread Monday. Like, I go to bed Sunday night going, oh my God, like I need to get to the office. I have like this, and this to do. And then on Friday, I'm looking forward to like the weekend. But my question is, did I get enough done this week? Like, am I proud of the week that I accomplished? And if you can get through the next 20 years of my life doing this, like, I want that for so many people. And that's probably the question I get asked the most is like, how do you shift? And you need to jump off the cliff and trust your gut, and trust that you can do it. So that would be my advice.
Fantastic. One of my professor at UFT once said to me when I was doing my master's in UFT, and I say to the prof that according to you, because I was an immigrant in this country, so I say that what is it that you suggest? He liked me a lot, and we are still in touch. He's my mentor, so he said
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah, so he said that. I said that what is a perfect career or successful career to you? He said when your skill set, whenever your capability meets your passion, when these two equates, that's successful. That work becomes your vocation and everything. The way you responded the last question, I think, Lianne, you
Yeah.
cracked the code.
I live in a space of gratitude, and
You cracked the
my
code.
team's kind of like, gosh, you're so like we're doing really well. Like
Yeah.
we've had good years. And it's like, oh my God, you're lucky. Like it's all, and I'm like, no, we are just in the right space where everything is aligning. We're coming at it. I'm a very spiritual. I have energy. Like I believe in the energy you put out is the
Yeah.
energy that comes back. And I said,
Oh God, so true.
we are putting the right energy out into, and it's coming back. And I think if all of us are doing this work because we're passionate about what we get to do, the energy that the universe finds us that way. And so it's a great place. It's a great space to be living in for sure. Plus,
Yeah.
I'm representing a winning, at the end of the day, I'm representing a winning product. Like I'm representing the Heart Institute. Like it's a gem. It's a
It's
really
a
incredible
gem. Yeah.
place. Yeah.
It's a gem. No, thank you. Thank you very much. And on behalf of our readers, our viewers, thank you so very much for giving us the time. Thank you very
No,
much.
I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm glad that you guys have this platform.